This is the Builders Business Success Podcast for builders who want to attract more quality clients who aren't price-focused, eliminate cash flow pressure, and get paid for every quote. Here's your host, Mick Hawes.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of Builders Business Success Podcast. We're currently on holidays, but we want to make sure that you've still got something to think about, get those thought processes spinning around while you're sitting on the beach having a daiquiri or camping or doing whatever you're doing while you're on holidays. In this episode, we're talking about becoming a remarkable business. What a remarkable business is a business that your clients and your prospects can't stop remarking upon. It's kind of like the best movie you've seen or the funniest joke you've ever heard. You've just got to talk about it whether you've been asked or not. It's a great way to build your business and start to get really good quality clients. So in this episode, you can learn about how to become a remarkable business. Please enjoy the episode. But that's when I ask that question, it's always about what you do. And my question to you is, shouldn't your product be what your most important ideal client wants? So shouldn't your product be what your most important ideal client wants? And I would suggest to you that if you can imagine this scenario, you've built a home, you've handed it over, let's say a year ago, and your past client receives a visitor, someone that they haven't seen for a while. They've never seen their new house. They catch up with them. They're sitting around having a cup of coffee, and their guest says, what was it like building the house? I will guarantee you that the homeowner, your past client, won't grab their friend's hand and walk around and show them the amazing workmanship that you have performed. Yes, I know that they appreciate that, but it's not something that is remembered long term. In fact, the experience that they had whilst building is the thing that is remembered forever. And the house at the end of the driveway that you built is an icon. It's a reminder of that experience. So do you want to be remembered every time they drive up the driveway, or every time somebody asks them that question, what was it like building your own home? Do you want to be remembered for not turning up on time, not doing what you said, not listening, all of the complaints that we get all of the time from clients of builders? Or do you want to be remembered for giving them a remarkable experience? And what I want to put to you, what I want to pose to you is that your product is not the house, the extension, the renovation. That your product is the quality of the customer experience throughout that building project or process. Now, if that's the case, if you buy into this, if you believe that your product is the customer experience, wouldn't you want a better and better quality product all the time? Wouldn't you want to be improving the quality of your product? I hope you're answering this yes. Because if you do this, if you have that mindset shift and you give priority to the activities in your business that deliver the things that are important to your clients, such as good quality communication, reliability and trust, feeling like they've been understood and feeling like you really care about them and their priorities and their concerns and the quality of their experience. That's what they care about. Of course, they care about the quality of your work. I get that. But I believe that your client thinks that that is an expectation. Otherwise, they'd build it themselves. The reason they're not building it themselves is they don't know how, they don't have the skills, and if they did, it would look like a piece of crap. So they bring someone in who has the experience and the skills to build something beautiful. But I will guarantee you that when the visitor arrives and asks the question a year down the track, what was it like building your house? The topic of conversation will be the experience that customer had, not how good your building skills were. So I'm suggesting that you have that mindset shift And if you do, it means that your focus and your conversations, even with your team members, are going to be more around what can we do to improve our product? What can we do this week to blow our customers' socks off so they remember us for all of the right reasons? And the purpose of this is so your business can become a remarkable business. What remarkable simply means is it's kind of like if you've just seen a most amazing movie and then you see your mate the next day. Before you talk about anything else, you go, man, I got to tell you about this movie I saw last night. It was amazing for these reasons, da, 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 da. But he didn't ask you, seen any good movies lately. You just volunteered the information. And so that should be your objective for your building business is what do we need to do in our building business with our communication, with our systems, with our processes, with our listening ability, with our ability to build rapport and trust, all of those things. Communicating where we are at any given time, giving them little surprises. They're the sorts of things we can do to blow them away. And if that's your focus, and if it's the topic of discussion with your team members on a regular basis, at some stage in the future, you will start to develop a remarkable business. And think about that. Think about the value of having a remarkable business, a business that is remarked upon without somebody asking the question. How does that affect your business? Because I know for sure and certain with all of the interaction that we have with so many builders is one of the biggest frustrations is marketing. How do we get better quality customers that aren't price focused, that have the type of projects that we want? Well, by becoming a remarkable business, you'll find that the type of people that you are working for and you give them a remarkable experience, they start to tell other people that are just like them, and you start to fill your business with those same type of people, with those same type of projects that you want to do. So there's a ton of things that you can do to make your business a remarkable business. Sadly, what we're finding with Builders Business Blackbelt is many customers think that just doing what we think should just be an expectation, a fulfilled expectation, like turning up when you said you would, calling back when you said you would, just being reliable, and delivering what you promised. It seems that many customers think that that's extraordinary, and I just think that is an absolutely sad state of affairs. When you can just be ordinary and seem extraordinary. So what effect would it have on your business if you went past that level of just delivering on people's expectations and you went to extraordinary? An example of that might be, and Builders Business Blackbelt members do this stuff all of the time, and they get sensational feedback. For an example, bringing the customer on site, a little bit of a surprise. Get the guys involved as well. Let's say you've just got the slab down and you haven't even got the walls up. You've just got where the walls are chalked out on the slab, and bring the customer on site, and in the dining room, or where the dining room should be, have a nice table, get some catering, get the boys involved and have a nice lunch with the clients, and they'll start to imagine what it's going to be like when the project is finished. They get to chat with your guys. It's not business. You're just shooting the breeze with your customer. And it was a bit of a surprise. I'll guarantee you doing something like that creates that remarkability. It creates that experience. You never guess what our builder did for us the other day. They come and picked us up from work and took us to the site and gave us this incredible lunch, and we met the guys, and it was just fantastic. What might that cost? I reckon it would cost significantly less than what keeps getting spent on SEO and Facebook ads and all of these attempts to try and market your business. The amount of people that will get told of that experience can be amazing. What else can you do? Just listen like right from the start, listen. What are people's passions? What are people's interests? And what if the husband was a bit of a golf tragic, and one day you just walked onto, you met him, he came on site or whatever, and you went, oh, I remembered the other day, when sometime earlier when we were talking, you were interested in golf. I was reading this magazine the other day, saw this golf article. I ripped it out of the magazine. I've got it for you. And you put it in an envelope or whatever, hand him the not the whole magazine, just the golf article. Because if you think about it, it's you showing that you paid attention back then and you thought about him in your own time. What that is demonstrating is you listen and you care. You give us stuff. You don't have to buy him a set of golf clubs. You just find a golf magazine, rip the article out and say, I read this, thought you'd be interested in it. Those sorts of little things have massive impact on your client. So what can you do? Have conversations about this with your team. Get your team involved in coming up with ideas to blow your clients' socks off just by doing these little things. They don't have to be massive, costly things. They're little things that just show you care and you listen. Why this is important and is because one of the most important things, or one of the most powerful things you can do to build rapport and trust with your clients, is prove that you listen by having them feel like they have been understood. So feeding back what they have said to you, how they feel about what they've said to you, is super, super powerful. I'm not sure whether you have ever heard of Abraham Maslow, but he's famous for a bunch of things, Maslow's learning ladder, and most particularly Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. And if you can just imagine a triangle, and the triangle has some horizontal lines through it, and it's got 5 sections basically. The bottom 2 sections are all about what humans absolutely need from a physiological point of view. And that bottom section, the first section, is just air, water, food, shelter, things like that. We absolutely must have them. The next level up physiologically is safety. And what that means is that quite often if someone is starving to death, they will do anything to be able to get that drink of water or that food so they can survive, and their requirements for safety is way, way down. But once people are fed and watered and have shelter, then the focus becomes on safety. How do I keep safe? And the bottom line is we don't care about that next level up until we've satisfied that basic level. And they're the first 2 levels on Maslow's hierarchy. Then we get into psychological needs. And basically the first psychological need, this isn't verbatim, but this is how I'd like you to understand it, is to be understood. And there are a whole lot of other needs above that, but this being understood is the equivalent of oxygen, psychological oxygen. If somebody is suffocating, they don't care about their safety. That's how those physiological needs work. If there's nothing to smash the window so I can breathe again, I'll use my hand or my elbow or my foot or something. And yeah, I might cut myself pretty badly doing that, but to hell with safety, I can't breathe. Exactly the same thing happens psychologically, which means I don't give a stuff what you're telling me until I feel that you understand me. And little things like that, handing the golf magazine article to a client, is proof that you understand. You remembered, you cared. And it is so, so powerful. And I would be suggesting that you challenge yourself to introduce little disciplines like this, little ideas like this into your process. So you are on purpose saying, it's now time to blow their socks off. What can we do? To be able to do that, in the past, you have to listen to what their fears were, what their frustrations were, what their passions are, what their priorities are, and deliver something that shows that you've listened and shows that you care. So I believe all of this stuff, to create a remarkable business, this stuff needs to be planned and it needs to be choreographed. Just like I said, at a certain point through your build process, there should be an alarm. There should be a reminder. It's now time to blow some socks off. What can we do? And you plan it and you action it to make sure it happens. Don't let it be one of those things that I might do if I think about it, or I might do if I've got time, because, I got to build shit. Remember what's more important. The thing that was remembered long after the quality of the project build, the thing that's remembered long after that is how you made them feel. Their experience, the quality of their experience. So my suggestion to you is to learn, refine, and improve with every client interaction. Almost have a dossier on your clients, So when you're having just your normal chit chat, you're listening to things that are going on in their life, and write it down so you can remember it, Imagine 3 weeks later going to the client and saying, "How did your dog's hemorrhoid operation go?" Don't remember talking about that. So you're paying attention and you're sort of showing that you care, not just about the project, but about them as people and their lives. And you will be remembered, and you will be remembered because of the quality of the experience that working with you gave them. So I hope that's helpful. If you've got any questions about it, jump into Builders Business Success Forum, ask any questions, start any arguments, whatever you want to do. I'm open to any sort of discussion about this. I love talking about it, and if I can help you understand it at a deeper level so you can implement it, that is what I want to do. Okay, question and answer time. So what we get asked a lot is, should I give prospects time to go over the contract before I meet and answer any of their questions? So the question is basically, should I give them the proposal, the quote, the contract, whatever it is, let them look at it and give them time to mull it over, and then you meet with them and answer any of their questions. Answer, very simply, no. No. I don't believe that you should give them the proposal, let them look at it, and then meet with them. Just like everything else that we've covered, you need a process and you need to practice the skills for that process. And so how I would suggest that you do this, if you've created a proposal or a quote for somebody, please don't send it through the post or email it or drop it off and say, if you want me to go ahead, give us a call. That is one of the main reasons as to why many builders I've spoken to might do 10 quotes and get 2 jobs, because they drop it off and let the quote do the work. That's craziness. You've put all of that effort into it. Make sure you give it the best shot to get that job over the line, if that client is a client that you want to take on. So one of the first things you do when you're presenting the proposal is, before you show them any of the content, is that you revisit the concerns and the priorities that you spoke about. I need to stop waving my hands around. Every time I wave my hands around, I bash the mic. Need a better system. So when you're unpacking the proposal, what I suggest is you revisit the concerns and the priorities that you should have asked about in the very initial meeting. One of the big things you've got to discover in the initial meeting is, what are your priorities? What are your concerns? Guess what that's doing, folks? That is understanding from their perspective. It's very, very powerful. So you should have written that down. You should have captured that information. And before you show them the proposal, you should revisit those concerns and say, so Mr. and Mrs. Jones, when we spoke initially, you said that these things were your concerns. This concern, this concern, this concern. You also mentioned that these 2 things were absolute priorities. Is that right? Have I got that right? So you're getting feedback. And then has anything changed? It's really important to ask if anything's changed, because what's the point of giving them a proposal that is probably not relevant anymore? It might only be a small change, but ask the question, has anything changed? If they've had major changes and it kind of makes part of your proposal irrelevant or something you need to go and fix, my suggestion would be, let's discuss that, let's unpack that, let me understand it, and go away and rejig the proposal before you present it. I think it's bad to present a proposal that doesn't completely line up with their current concerns and priorities. If they say, no, nothing's changed, I think this is absolute key. So start taking them through the proposal that you've created and address each of the concerns and show them where in the proposal you've addressed that concern. And here's where I've addressed that concern. Here's where I've addressed that concern. Does that make sense? Are you happy with that? Like, check in with each of the concerns and then do the same thing with the priorities. You mentioned that this was a must-have. So this is where we've put this in here. Does that make sense? Are you happy with that? Cool. Then show them clearly the pathway forward, what the next step is to move forward with this, to award you the job and get started. Just paint the next steps and then ask them to take that next step. Ask them to take the next step rather than you saying, if that makes sense, all good. If you got any questions, let me know, and then let me know if you want to get started. Like, you're just throwing away massive amounts of opportunity doing it that way. So I hope that makes sense. If you've got any questions about that, you can certainly reach us through Builders Business Success Forum and ask some questions there. As I said, one of the new things that we've introduced is the personal productivity hack. And I'm looking forward to these. And one of the reasons is that they can be super simple and they can make a profound difference. This is going to be one of those super simple things that you might go, duh, but it can make a profound difference. So one of the first personal productivity hacks I would suggest, because I speak to a lot of builders, I interact with a lot of builders and tradespeople, and very few of them are organised. And so what I would suggest you do is use a diary or some sort of tool, even if it's in your phone. And 30-something years ago, this is where I cut my teeth training, was with time management. And back then, we always used to promote the diary. In fact, back then it was the Daytimer diary. It was a day to an opening, plus it had a month at a glance, but it was a physical diary. And there's a whole process on how you plan your day. And even back then, I would say to people, choose the tool that you're most comfortable with. Just because we had the Daytimer diary and we were promoting it, if they didn't want to use that, I would say, cool, because you are far better off with a great philosophy and a blank pad of paper than the best whiz-bang, $800 diary system that you just use like a notepad. It just becomes the world's most expensive notepad. So use a diary or a tool to record, firstly, your appointments and your meetings. How many times, and be honest with yourself, have you turned up late or forgotten a meeting, forgotten to, call somebody back? You've got to write this stuff down. And then, of course, the second part of that process is you've got to read it. And so how you do that is build a new written with one of these things. I'm holding up an Apple Pen, so not one of those things, unless you've got an iPad. One of these things. It's a pen, and use a piece of paper and write down what your engagements and your appointments are for the day. And then also write down the list of things that you need to get done today, and put some thought into prioritizing those things. And I'm going to give you one question to take away when you're prioritizing, and that is this. Look at each event in your list of things to do today and ask this question. What will happen if I don't do this today? What will happen if I don't do this today? Emphasis on today. Because we get pushed around by urgent all of the time. And if you ask that question, quite often, most often, you'll find, hey, it won't make any difference today. And that doesn't mean you won't do it. It just means that you won't be stressed out unnecessarily because you think you need to do all of this stuff today. You are far more effective when you feel good. So get an actual idea, an understanding, clarity on what you need to do today, in what order, and where your appointments are, so you don't show up late to add an extra level or layer of stress and pressure, that you are planned and prepared. So ask that question, what will happen if I don't do this today? But use a diary, use a tool to write stuff down, write your appointments down, write down the list of things you need to do today, and use that question to prioritize them. I'd love to hear your feedback just doing that. There's a whole lot more that I can share with you with that, but just start there and let us know how you go. So the takeaway from this podcast is, for me, everything needs to be planned, choreographed, rehearsed, and improved. So I encourage you to choreograph your phone calls, choreograph your initial meetings, choreograph how you present a proposal to your client, choreograph all of those sorts of things, choreograph how you plan your day. That's a choreographed move. It is appointments and meetings. How much time have I got left in the day outside of those appointments and meetings? Don't build a list any bigger than the time available. Like if you've got 4 hours of meetings and appointments and travel and all of that sort of stuff, and then you load yourself up with all of these other things to do, you know you won't get them done. At least you know it subconsciously, and it just adds stress. So all of that is choreographed. And the improvement part is absolutely essential. So have choreography, have plans and processes and procedures. That's choreography. And then constantly look to improve them, because the one thing that I learned a long time ago, it's a very, very powerful law of life, I believe. And it is, you're either green and growing or you're ripe and rotting. So the only way you can avoid being ripe and rotting is to be green and growing, constantly asking questions. How can we improve? How can we improve? And unless you have a procedure, a process, a step-by-step process that you continue to follow and you improve that, if you're just making all sorts of random improvements, it doesn't work. You need to be able to measure how it used to work, and now we've made this improvement, measure how that works. But be constantly having discussions with your team, get them involved, and be constantly setting goals to improve your business. Hey, so I hope you enjoyed the replay of that episode. Now, some exciting things are happening right now. And one of the things is that we're basically going to... I'll just put my teeth back in. I hope you enjoyed the episode. There's some pretty exciting things going on right now. One of them is that we're basically going to get rid of our Facebook groups and a bunch of other things and create an environment for builders only. So getting rid of the Facebook groups has been motivated by all of the distractions, people that hate Facebook, getting rid of all of the notifications, and creating an environment where only builders who are motivated and focused on success and improving their business all get together in one environment. And that environment is going to be completely focused on that. You're not going to have all of those distractions. We're creating our own app. It's going to be called the Builders Toolshed. And you'll be able to download the app, have it on your phone, get all of our notifications, watch the podcast live. You're going to be able to interact with other really successful builders, learn from OPE, that's other people's experience. It puts you on the fast track to success. Now, it's not open yet, but it will be really, really soon. And there's a link in the comments section, or if you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the description. And if you click that link and you just register your interest to join the Builders Toolshed, you're going to get a free membership. So the first people that jump in and register their interest. We're going to be allowing them into that environment for absolutely free. It'll stay free for you. And you will avoid the cost that will be put on there a little bit later on as it starts to develop, because we want to make sure that only people get in there that are serious about the improvement, the success, and have that sort of focus on their business. So we're going to create an environment that doesn't have all of the lurkers and the free pull, and all of the free pull are people that want everything for nothing. They don't do anything, but they just sort of ask questions, waste your time, and want everything for nothing. But this environment is going to be for genuinely success-orientated builders who want to talk about what can be done to make their business different. If you want to join that environment, all you need to do is hit that link, register your interest. As soon as the door opens, you'll be allowed in for free, and we'll be pumping a lot of really high quality content and resources in there for you to help you make your business more successful. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you register your interest for the Builders Toolshed, and we'll see you next time on the Builders Business Success Podcast. I'm Mick Hawes. Bye for now.
Okay, that's the podcast. If you have a question or want to know how Mick can help with your building business, email your request to mick@buildersbusinessblackbelt.com.au. Do it now.